Alright guys, I haven't done one of these in a while, so I figured, let's dust off this old tale with a what-if scenario. And as you can see right here from the video, this is going to be what if the Zerg invaded the Star Trek universe. So yeah, we've got a Star Trek and StarCraft crossover. I haven't done a lot of StarCraft lately. And StarCraft was one of the first games I ever played growing up. So I was like, you know what? I think it's high time I do some StarCraft. I think it's high time I do some StarCraft, and we're gonna use the Zerg for that. So what would it be like if the Zerg suddenly found themselves in the Star Trek universe? Well, I know a lot of people are gonna say like it's gonna be a lot like Species 8274 or whatever the fuck that number is. I always get it mixed up. Where because they're organic and that they have organic life inside, their ships are organic because they're actual creatures, and even their bases are and their structures are organic. There's really people would say it's a lot like that. I would say no. It'd be more like if you took Species 8471 and the Borg, their arch nemesis, because they can't assimilate them, and fuse them together into one horrible, nasty army of creatures that live for nothing else other than to invade, infest, and infect, conquer the galaxy. That's all the Zerg want to do. Is that they just want to rule over, with Kerrigan as their queen cerebrate. I know it's a little different in StarCraft 2. So many stars. It's a lot different in StarCraft 2, but that's a thing for another time. So yeah. So let's kind of talk about the Zerg as a whole. How would that affect each of the factions? Starting off with, of course, the Federation. The Federation, of course, would be trying to, as always, whenever they encounter a new species, it would be like, hello, welcome to the Federation. We welcome you, and we welcome you. We mean you no harm. And the Zerg will be like, oh, we mean you all the harm. And that's going to be the scary thing. And I know what you're thinking. Well, they can't get past those shields. They can't, battle that kind of firepower. They do have... The Zerg have a lot of experience battling not only ships with, warp capability, but also shields and phaser capabilities. They've battled the Protoss. That's been their prime enemy long before they encountered the before they encountered any Terran factions. So, the Zerg have a lot of battle experience, and their bodies have evolved to combat similar. Now, is it exactly like the Protoss? No. But they basically had enough, evolutionary, traits to make them go, all right, we can take a lot of the damage that this race of Terrans can throw out of us. So I think they would be, more than capable to fight them. Not to mention, when it comes to ground capability, the Federation kind of are in a bit of a rut, because while the Federation does have ground forces and ground weaponry, the problem is that the Zerg kind of overwhelm. That's kind of their whole thing, is that they just overrun your entire factions, and if they don't kill you, they're going to infest you. And if they infest you, you're going to turn into either a walking bomb or a slave to the cerebrate. So the Federation would probably learn fast that maybe not fight these guys on the ground, because they will do some horrible shit to us if we fight them on the ground. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I don't know if your basic red shirt from Starfleet is going to be able to handle an Ultralisk slashing a bunch of his friends in half with a couple of swings. And yes, the Federation is a coalition of multiple planets, and that does give them a bit of advantage, because it's not just humans fighting together. It's basically all these other alien races that are joined together. One minute the Zerg could be battling a human captain using, his own tactics. They got another human captain who has his own tactics. And then you have, maybe an Andorian captain who fights with, an Andorian. So that could easily play into the Federation's help, is that these guys would probably, the whole mix and mash of all of it, and all these minds coming together, to battle, you know. And I know a lot of the Federation does believe in diplomacy, but the Federation also knows how to kick ass when need be. So, you know, there is that. Now, as for the other factions, and now the big question we have to ask ourselves: could the Borg assimilate the Zerg? It's very hard to say, because while I did make the species reference, it's really hard to tell if assimilation would take to, you know, the Zerg like other races do. The problem is that we don't know if it would. The closest we come to finding out if the Zerg can be assimilated into something else is in some of the cases of Star Trek II, StarCraft II lore, where it has been mentioned that, you know, the Zerg have been pretty resistant to some Terran experiments trying to control them. But that's a difference between the Terran technology and Borg technology. So I'm going to personally say it's a maybe. That's a factor we can't really, like, well, for lack of a better word, factor in if the Borg can assimilate the Zerg. Now, the Klingons, they would love having ground battles. The Federation would try their best to not get into ground battles with the Zerg. They would not want to... that would be a fight the Federation would not want to get into, because they probably realize they would be overwhelmed. But the Klingons grab that batleth and be like, "Bring it on! You know, today's a good day to die, bugs." Like, just all get hopped up on it. And, yeah, probably be pretty scary, too. The Romulans also are pretty well versed in ground combat as well, so that's another thing you have to really take into account. But again, numbers are kind of a big thing here. The Zerg can easily, you know, it takes a while to train and recruit new soldiers. Zerg, they just need to get born, give them a couple minutes, they are ready to go. Like, you have a new soldier in like an hour, like a new battalion tops in like under 2 hours. The Zerg would just be an absolute menace, because these guys move like a plague across the galaxy. They have essentially they basically move from planet to planet like a disease, and just infest, kill everything else, take what they want, and move on to the next planet. That's how the Zerg work. And the Zerg, and it's not like, you know, the Zerg, while they do have overlords and cerebrates that, you know, these other factions would have to, you know, combat to take out, the Zerg can just breed more. And especially with it, like, if they try to take, even if you could take out Kerrigan, the overlords and like, she's the one who united the Zerg clan, the Zerg broods together. So you would have to, and I do stress this, you would have to, you know, if you could somehow, if any of these, you know, factions of the Star Trek universe could even attempt to wipe out the Zerg, the big thing would be, now you have to go around killing cerebrates and overlords, and you know, it's kind of a difficult thing because they're always breeding new ones, and yeah. And if you thought a united Zerg were scary, wait till you see when the broods are factioned off, like when they're splintered off. Because now you've just, instead of one disease you're fighting like multiple battles on multiple fronts, all of whom have the same capabilities as everyone else. You know, able to breed fast, able to create fast, able to take over fast. It's kind of a big deal. So it would be scary. Like, I legit think the Zerg would probably be one of the worst alien races to ever come across in the Star Trek universe. I really do think if they attacked the Star Trek universe, it would be pretty bad. It would be like Klingon, Federation, Cardassian colonies, all, like, a lot of them, especially those outlier colonies that no one can really get to fast enough, would be the first ones to go. And those would be great breeding grounds for the Zerg. But anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you think it would be like if the Zerg invaded the Star Trek universe? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.